What if you could sound smarter and way more confident starting like right now? And what if it all came down to just swapping out four super common phrases? It sounds too simple, yes, I know, but these small changes can totally transform the way people see you. Most people think big words make them sound smarter, but here's the twist. The smarter you want to sound, the simpler you should speak. Leadership isn't impressed by jargon, they are impressed by clarity. If you want to own the room, make your message easy to process. Here's why. Remember, real authority doesn't come from big fancy words, it comes from simple, powerful clarity. When you make your ideas easy for everyone to get, that is when you really command the room. This isn't my opinion or some kind of style tip. There's actual science behind all this. So let's get into why our brains are basically hardwired to think simple is smart. It all comes down to a principle called clarity of expression. Think about it like this. Our brains are always trying to save energy. And when a message is clear and super easy to process, our brain kind of gives us a little reward. Neuroscience shows our brain rewards clarity. Now, this is not about dumping things down. It's actually the complete opposite. When you can explain something simply, it shows you have mastered the topic so well that you can cut through all the noise and just present the core idea. And that is a sign of true expertise. Let me explain this in another way. Social cognition research says we size people up on warmth and competence, and all the judgment happens in 1/10 of a second. That's it. In that tiny little window, there's absolutely no time to figure out jargon. Your clarity has to be instantaneous. They are judging us on warmth. Are they friendly? And on competence. Can they actually do the job? No. While that initial gut feeling is super fast, building that long term respect for your competence entirely on how clearly you communicate from that point on. Okay, so we get the science. Now let's get practical. Here's the fast vocabulary tweak you can use today. Problem feels like a dead end. Complication sounds like a technical challenge. I'm prepared to untangle. For example, you can say, we have a complication with the rollout and here's how I'll resolve it. Change is vague, modify signals a precise adjustment. For instance, say, let's modify the timeline by 2 days to protect quality. See the difference? Explain can sound basic. Elaborate promises depth. Swap explain. Happy to elaborate on the assumptions behind that forecast. I think reads as hesitant. I believe carries connection. Swap, I think. Tiny shifts, big payoff. Just like sharing your first name and the last name builds instant authority. These precise choices reinforce competence with every sentence. And remember, simple doesn't mean shallow. It means your ideas are engineered for understanding. So next meeting, keep your structure tight, your language clean, and your verbs deliberate. Trade noise for signal. So I'll leave you with this question. You don't have to change everything all at once. Just pick one and tell me which of these words will you consciously decide to modify in your vocabulary starting today.